We're back with another edition of Byron Scott's Fast Break. My name's Kid J. Byron!
Yo.
How you feeling?
Man, Kid J, I'm good, man. I'm blessed. I'm happy. NBA is about to start.
Yeah!
Get to start looking at these games, you know what I'm saying?
Season.
See who's real and who ain't. And it's going to be fun.
Big picture on the NBA. What do you think of this upcoming season? You know, we know who won last year.
Right.
The team that we both kind of despise.
Yeah.
They're hanging that 18th banner, man. How does that make you feel, actually?
It pisses me off because that means we won behind them again after taking so long to catch their ass. Now we won behind them again, and the way they look, this year, going into this year. Let's just say going into this year with everybody back.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably got the best starting five in basketball. They've won a championship. Now the question is going to be, Kid J, are they going to be hungry to try to do this repeat back to back? That's going to be the biggest question, because a lot of times when you win championships, you get that, that fat cat syndrome, where you feel good about it. And then you say, man, we're going to wait till the playoffs. We're going to start playing. That ain't never a good sign. So it's going to be interesting to see how they come out the gate, because they had the best record last year. Home court advantage throughout the playoffs. They kind of ran through everybody. And they had a little luck on their side.
Yeah, of course they
when
did.
you look at some of the teams that they end up facing in the Eastern Conference with key players being hurt.
Injured.
But I don't know if that would have made that much of a difference, because they were just rolling. And you got two of the best players in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
You got one of the best perimeter defenders in True Holiday.
White.
Man, I mean, he
White
just,
and Holiday.
And White. Yeah. Two of the best perimeter defenders in the game. And then you got this 7'4" long, what they call him?
If he can stay healthy.
If he stays healthy, Porzingis.
Yeah.
And they call him the unicorn.
Yeah.
If he stays healthy, and just think of that. I mean, he wasn't healthy last year. Mm-hmm. So if he stays healthy, it's going to be hard, for anybody in the East, let alone the West, dethrone the Celtics.
Now, you've won titles. Do other teams, here's another thing you could throw in the picture, like they're coming after you.
Oh, without a doubt.
Like they're coming after you. And I think the East has gotten a little bit better this year.
I agree.
Because I think they had an easy path personally last year. But I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them this year.
I agree. I like what New York did. My boy is JR, Julius Randle, who had a great season but was hurt last year during the playoffs. But to get, Cat, Karl Anthony Towns now in the fold with them, brings another guy that's long, athletic, can shoot the three, can post you up, so it gives them another dimension. New York is going to be a very good team, I think, this year. Indiana, I don't think is not going anywhere. I think they're going to be good as well. Obviously with Paul George going to Philly with Habib, again, can Habib stay healthy the whole year and play with his NBA, or MVP caliber game that he has to take Philly to a different level? And you never count out the freak, in Milwaukee. So I think, the East has gotten so much better, and I'm not even talking about Cleveland.
I was about to throw in another one. What about Cleveland?
Or Orlando?
Yeah.
Young and gritty and tough. And having a taste of that playoff atmosphere and that playoff experience last year is going to just help them this year. So the East has definitely got a lot better. It's going to be a lot harder road for Boston to get through. But when we just talked about the teams that we just talked about, it's going to be fun to watch who comes out of the East next year or this year.
So I put together a bunch of storylines here on the NBA.
Uh-huh.
And I just want to get your opinion on the different storylines. Of course, our beloved Lakers.
Of course.
Everybody's talking about Bronny, LeBron James. Mm-hmm. Do they have enough to get there? Or what's that storyline going to be like with those two on the same team?
Well, first of all, I don't know if Bronny's ready to be in that rotation. Mm-hmm. Again, I still think he's an NBA-type player. He's going to get better and better. But I think the storyline with the Lakers I don't know if they really improved that much this offseason. And if you didn't improve that much, then you're putting a lot of the onus on LBJ and AD. And those two guys got to play, the way they're capable of playing, and sometimes even probably above that, to get them anywhere out of the Western Conference. And I think the West is still stacked. I really do. I think Dallas has gotten better. When you get a Klay Thompson to go along with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, and then the role players that they have, and to get to the finals last year, they're hungry.
Yes,
they're definitely going to be coming out ready this year. And then OKC, you know, I mean, they're young and hungry as well. Minnesota, I don't think I think Minnesota's taking a step back, you know, losing Cat. But I think it's going to be very difficult for the Lakers to get to that upper echelon of the top 4 in the Western Conference unless LBJ and AD play their ass off. And we do know both of those guys are capable of carrying a team for an entire season. So it really comes down to the role players.
Yeah.
You know, how does Austin Reeves play this year? How does D'Lo play this year?
Yeah.
You know, other guys off the bench. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with LA. And obviously it starts, you know, tonight against Minnesota, one of the better teams in the West.
Yeah.
And I didn't mention Denver. You know, I ain't even mentioned Denver yet.
So I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding, you know, Bronny James being on the Lakers. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, in my eyes, you know, I've been in the NBA for many years. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of second rounders that don't even touch the floor.
Right.
You know, and actually they go to the G League.
Right.
Back in the day, it was D League. Now it's G League.
Right.
Does Bronny belong in the G League?
I think at some point in time in this season, they should put him down to the G League just so he plays. You know, you still gotta understand that Bronny hasn't played a real full season in the last 2 or 3 years. Well, one.
Because of the health.
You know, because of the health.
Yeah.
You know, so he's still getting his feet up under him, and now he's in a whole new situation.
Yeah.
You know, and again, I still believe if he would have stayed at SC one more year where he could really showcase what he can do, he probably would have been a first round pick, if not a lottery pick. You know, so I think the Lakers got a guy in the second round that can play in the game. And like you said, there's a lot of second rounders that don't. There's a lot of first rounders
that don't even touch the floor.
Don't touch the floor. If they go to a team that's already established that has championship admirations, a lot of first rounders as rookies don't touch the floor. So I think again, you got a lot of haters out there, you know, hating on LeBron and hating on Bronny because of who they are, you know. But I still feel that kid can play in this game.
Does that beg the question? Because you just said it. He should have stayed at USC probably one more year so he could showcase his skills and get better. It's kind of like the varsity JV syndrome.
Right.
You know,
right.
You're good enough to play there, but you're never going to touch the floor. So it's better keeping you down and, you know, getting that in-game experience.
Yeah.
The question I have then is, what's the rush in bringing him to the NBA? Does that mean LeBron possibly could walk?
I think that might have had a little something to do with it. You know, LeBron has stated this for so long. I want to play in the league or continue to play until my son gets there. And I hope to have that chance of playing with my son in the NBA, being the first father-son to do it. You know, so I think that was a part of his decision to come out. I still think that, you know, staying at SC for one more year, or even if he would transfer somewhere, you know, somewhere where he could really showcase his talent, would have benefited him even more so. But I understand the fact when your dad is talking like that for the past couple of years and you get that opportunity, okay, I understand taking that opportunity.
Now, we're going to go back to the Lakers because that's our squad. Bleed purple and gold here.
Absolutely.
The first round pick, I actually think the Connect kid is amazing.
Yeah.
I did watch 2 or 3 preseason games of the Lakers this year, and I happened to catch the game where the kid went off.
Against Golden State, right? It was
against Golden State. The kid went off, and he looks amazing. And actually, I think good enough where he will get some sort of rotational type minutes.
I believe you're right as well. I got a chance, Kid Jay, to meet him the other day.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a chance to meet him Sunday. And told him that I was a big fan, told him I watched him while he was at University of Kentucky, Tennessee. And understands he's had it, I wouldn't say rough, but he came up the hard way.
Yeah.
JC first, then he goes to Tennessee, plays his butt off, comes out. I thought when the Lakers got him in the first round, that early pick that they had, that was a steal.
Yeah.
I thought he was a lottery pick. Yeah. I really did. So I think this kid has a real good chance of being in rotation from day one. Love his game, love his toughness, love the fact that he's had to earn it. I mean, he's had to work his ass off to get to this particular point. So you got to love all those things about him, so he's not taking none of this for granted. He comes to work every day. And I think the kid has some special talent. I mean, he can definitely light it up from 3. We know that.
Yeah.
But he can also put that ball on the floor. So I love that pick. And I think he will be in the rotation. I think he's going to do some good things in LA.
Okay. Some more storylines for you. So John Morant is back with the Grizzlies. He's healthy.
Without a gun and all that, he's good.
Twice, by the way. Twice,
right. Come on now. You ever heard that saying, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you?
Yeah.
I love that kid. I love his game. I love how athletic he is.
Is it too reckless, though?
I think at times it is. Because he just wanted to, but he's fearless.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what I'm saying? You got to give him credit. The kid is fearless. When he goes to the cup, he's going to dunk on you. He don't care who's under there. So you got to give him a lot of credit for that. But he's in the air for so long, and he ain't the biggest guy in the world. And you got big guys hitting him. Something's gonna give, and most of the time it's gonna be him.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Because of his size.
But you gotta love the way this kid plays, and when he plays for Memphis, they obviously have a much better chance of being successful. Now the key component here is stay out of trouble.
Yeah,
keep your nose clean, man. You could be the face of this league in the next couple of years if you just do all the right things on and off the basketball court. But his talent speaks for itself. I mean, the kid is explosive. He's one of the few players in the NBA that I was like, I'll go pay to watch him play.
Yeah, it's must-see TV.
Yeah, because he's going to do something.
Yeah,
that game that you're going to go, whoa. He's going to make you he's that wow factor when he plays.
It's crazy because, he didn't play most of last year. And to me, it felt like something was missing in the NBA.
Oh, yeah.
Because you saw so much special out of him the years prior that, like, when he's not in the league, it just didn't feel right to me.
Yeah, it's that missing piece.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like you said, he is must-see TV. When he comes to your town, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, if you got a chance to go see him play in person, go see him play because the kid is special.
So we've always talked about how difficult the West was. The West has been stacked for years. Klay Thompson moves from one team where he's won championships to another team that was just in the NBA Finals, Dallas, the Mavs. Does Klay get Dallas back to the finals?
He makes it a lot more easier for him to get there, And the great thing about
Kyrie and Luka on that same team, now they got a three-headed monster there.
They do. And the other thing, I mean, Klay, he does two things extremely well. Obviously, we know he shoots the hell out the ball, but he defends his ass off. He's a guy that can guard 1, 2s, and 3s. I think he helps take a lot of that pressure off of Luka, when they have these mismatches because he can guard certain guys that Luka can't. And then, like you said, you got that two-headed monster with Luka and Kyrie that can just get any shot they want.
Yeah.
And they can get everybody involved. And Klay's one of those guys that, Klay's like, hey, man, when I'm open, just give me the ball. Y'all drive and you collapse the defense, I'm going to be right out here waiting.
Yep.
And, again, he's another guy that everybody in this league knows can knock down threes on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
And you got to guard him. So I think it makes Dallas a better basketball team. And, again, it all depends on if they can all stay healthy and they can, mesh extremely well, early.
Yeah.
I think Dallas has a chance to get back there.
Okay. Going to the East, Giannis and the Bucks. Are they serious contenders? They've been knocked out the last couple of years.
I don't think they're serious contenders anymore.
Why is that, though? They're not missing very many of their pieces that they won a title with.
I think, number one, they're getting older.
Father Time catching up.
Yeah, Middleton's getting older.
Yeah.
Giannis is getting older. Dollar Dame is getting older. All those guys, their key players are getting older, And so their window of opportunity is starting to close. So they got to try to take advantage of it this year. And I think they have the possibility of beating anybody in the East. Mm-hmm. But it all has to align with them properly, I think, for them to do it. So would I count Milwaukee out? No. Not when you got those guys that we just mentioned. I wouldn't
not
count
to mention
them out.
a Hall of Fame coach.
A Hall of Fame coach, So Doc having this year be his first full year with the Bucks. And then he hires Darvin Ham to come back home, basically, you know what I'm saying? So I think the familiarity with Ham, with the other guys, except with Dollar Dame, because he wasn't there when Darvin was there.
Yeah.
But the rest of the guys know what he's all about and what he brings to the table. I think that helps them as well. So I think Milwaukee's one of those teams, you can't count them out. But when you're looking at the East right now and you're looking at, Boston, you're looking at what Philly did, by Paul George going over there and making them a much better basketball team. And then you look at New York, Jalen Bronson is a monster. Just get that out there right now.
Yeah.
Jalen Bronson is a monster. And then you add Cat to the to the fold. That makes them much better. And Indiana ain't no joke either. I mean, because they bring 10 people at you.
Yeah.
Indiana's probably more deep, probably the deeper team out of all those teams. When you mention those three teams that we just talked about, it's going to be hard for Milwaukee, but I wouldn't count them out.
You mentioned Cat going somewhere else. Where he came from was Minnesota.
Correct.
And they have one of the, if not the most dynamic player in the league right now in Anthony Edwards. Yeah. Now, I've watched the starting five. I don't know if you watched that yet.
No, not yet.
I don't know if he's 100% committed to the game yet. And I'm going to use the word yet.
Yet, okay.
Because...
And tell me why you think that.
Last year, I thought he was 1, 2, 3 best player in the league. Mm-hmm. That's just me personally. Mm-hmm. And what he was able to do with that team and get them as far as they got in the playoffs, I said to myself, they're just one step away from the NBA Finals. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're there this year. Mm-hmm. And like you, I believe they take a step back. Losing Cat obviously hurts. Mm-hmm. And the Anthony Edwards piece, amazing talent, but not 100% involved in the game yet.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to get there, though.
He's still young.
I still think he's going to get there.
I mean, obviously, he's still young by some of the comments he's made over the last year or so. You know what I'm saying?
Not appreciating the game behind.
Disrespecting the people in the past that have come and got this game to the level that it's at right now. He has to pay respect to those guys instead of disrespect. Talent-wise, the kid is a monster.
Oh, man, he's amazing.
He's a monster. Now, I'm trying to figure out how this is going to work with the fit with Julius, because Julius is a guy that has to have his hands on the ball a lot too. And if he does that, it takes away from Anthony Edwards having his hands on the ball. And I think a lot of this is going to really come down to Mike Conley, to be honest with you, because he's the director. So he's going to have to get these guys involved. And it's almost going to have to be kind of like Luka and Kyrie. All right, your turn now, my turn later, to keep them involved. But Minnesota's a team with that guy. Anthony Edwards is so dynamic as a basketball player. He's developed that jump shot now that's so reliable. I mean, from three-point range. And we know if he gets to the basket, what's going to happen. Somebody getting dunked on. It's going to be a poster.
Yeah.
It's going to be a poster. And he's going to let you know about it after he posterizes you too. But I think that the mainstay on that team and the guy that keeps this engine going is Mike Conley. A very experienced, veteran point guard who's been around for a long time. And I think, to me, he's been underrated, for a long time. He's one of the best point guards in our game on both ends of the floor. So, when you talk about a general out there, I mean, he's one of those guys that understands his players and the personnel that he has on the floor. And I think he's going to have to be the glue to keep this team together.
If they stay healthy, you see them in the Western Conference Finals?
I don't see no reason why not. You know what I'm saying? I think, and again, it goes back to matchups. Where they end up in the seed in the West is probably going to determine if they're going to be in the Western Conference Finals.
Cool. Another team I want to talk about in the West is a team that finally got their own arena.
About damn time.
Yeah, the LA Clippers finally out of the shadow of the Lakers, but doesn't help them.
Yeah, they still in the shadow. No matter what you say, no matter where they go, they are still in the shadow. As long as they got
go back to San Diego.
Listen, yeah, they could. As long as they got that Los Angeles on their jersey, they're gonna always be in the shadow of that purple and gold. Now they can go back to San Diego and they got the whole city of San Diego to be behind them. But as long as they got that LA, they're going to be in the shadows of the Lakers, even with the new arena and everything, which is fantastic. You got to give Ballmer, their owner, a lot of credit for saying, look, we're going to establish our own identity. We're going to get our own arena. We're going to be, but you're still in Inglewood. Yeah. That's still a home of the Lakers. You're still in Inglewood. But you have, what he has done for the city of Inglewood is unbelievable. But when we talk about the Clippers this year, I mean, they got bad news the other day by, saying that Kawhi Leonard is out indefinitely. And I've heard rumbles of people talking about maybe he should just call it a career. That kills them. That kills them, and especially after you just got rid of Paul George, or not got rid of, but let him go. So I think the Clippers have definitely taken 2 or 3 steps back, with the news of hearing that Kawhi is on the shelf.
So, in other words, you're saying enjoy that new arena.
Enjoy it. enjoy it. You might not have any playoff games there, but you're going to enjoy it to the best of your ability.
41 games.
41 games, and you might be in that play-in game. You know what I'm saying? You might be in that play-in game. I'll tell you what, Ty Lue, who is a fantastic coach, is going to have his best coaching job ever this year to get them. Not even close. They was at the 5th spot last year because I think Dallas was 4. They were like 5, something like that. I think they not even sniffing 4 or 5 this year. Don't see it.
Well, without Paul George and Kawhi, I mean that's. I mean,
like I said,
how many points is that right there? 40.
It's a lot of points, but it's also a lot of points they take away. Yeah. On that other end of the floor. You're talking about steals and rebounds and all the other stuff that they do for that team. Yeah. It's going to be hard to make that up with 3 or 4 players, trying to account for that type of productivity that those guys are bringing to the table.
There's a sneaky dark horse team in the East. Mm-hmm. Cleveland Cavs. Mm-hmm. I mean, Donovan Mitchell. Mm-hmm. When he went over there with those young cats, I mean, all of a sudden they're a different squad. Yeah. I mean, a really different squad. I mean, they have Darius Garland, Jared Allen, who was injured most of the year, a lot of part of the year. He came back in the playoffs, and look how dangerous they were. Yeah. And the up-and-coming Evan Mobley, 7-footer that's just, on the defensive side, and can knock down a 3. Yeah. How far could they get in the East?
I think it wouldn't be crazy to say they can get to that, semifinals. I mean, you're looking at a very young team that's led by Donovan
Mitchell.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell, who's one of the best, most explosive 2 guards in this game. Jared Allen is one of the best rim protectors around. I mean, that guy is one of the best defensive centers in the league. So they got a squad right now that I think could make. They're trying to make a run this year. And like you said, that's the dark horse. The other dark horse is that Orlando Magic team. Yeah. With my boy coaching Jamal Mosley, who's done a terrific job in Orlando with that young squad. So you guys really, them 2 teams right there, they going to scare the hell out of a lot of people in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. Everybody's talking about OKC, though.
Yeah?
Yeah, they got, SGA. Yeah. They're pretty stacked. A lot of people got them beating the Celtics, beating the 76ers, getting to the NBA Finals.
I wouldn't be surprised if they came out of the West. I think, again, them losing to Dallas, that's just going to fuel their fire. And SGA is, man, he's poetry in motion, man. When you watch this kid play, he doesn't speed up. He plays his game no matter what. Gets to the basket, can make shots, mid-range game, gets, 3-point. He does everything, and then Big Chad ain't no joke either. He's gotten better and better each year, and I think this is probably going to be a breakout year for him. And then they got some guys that can just flat out score. They can come off that bench. Williams is just a hell of a player. So they got some. I think with them, the youth was a factor last year, but now that experience is going to kick in. Yep. And they know that they can play with everybody and anybody. And they know they lost
through the West.
Yeah, they know that they lost to the team. They end up getting to the final. Yep. I'm sure they're looking for a rematch, with Dallas, during the regular season. I hope they won. I'm sure they probably hope they play them in the playoffs this year coming up. But yeah, that OKC team is a team that's going to be hard to beat as well.
And if they get through the West, do you think they could beat either Boston 76ers or whoever is there in the East?
I think it would go 6 games, but I still think Boston would beat them.
Still Boston got that.
Yeah, I think Boston would beat them.
Now, we talked earlier about the ever-disappearing mid-range game in the NBA. Yeah. SGA is probably one of the better ones I've seen in the league today.
Oh, yeah, I think he is. He's probably the best one I've seen since Richard Hamilton.
Wow.
And you remember Rich was a king of, 15, 18-footers. I mean, that dude come off a screen, catch and shoot, maybe one dribble, knock it down. SGA is probably the best mid-range game we got in the game today. And that's big kudos to you, young man, because Richard Hamilton was no joke. Yeah. That boy was bad, and he could just knock down shots on a consistent basis. So that part of the game has been a lost art, and I think that SGA understands that, you know what, I can get this 2 points. It's a lot easier than me trying to shoot way back here from the 3. And if I can get that 5, 6, 10 times a game, my numbers are still going to be pretty good, and it gives us a better chance to win.
Yeah, but analytics say shoot that 3 though.
Yeah, analytics. And again, and I was asked this when I was coaching the Lakers. You don't believe in analytics? I said, yeah, I believe in it, but you got to have guys who can shoot threes.
Yeah,
and can make them, not just shoot them. There's a whole lot of guys in the league that can shoot them, but there's not a whole lot that can make them on a consistent basis. So if you got a team that can knock them down, and again, it's understanding who you are as a basketball player. You know what I'm saying? SGA knows I ain't no elite 3-point shooter, but I'm elite at getting at that basket.
Yeah.
I'm elite at about 17, 18 feet.
Yeah.
And so he understands who he is as a basketball player, and you got to take your hat off to him.
I like that. One team we haven't talked about, the Denver Nuggets.
That's true.
Jokic, Murray.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier, you get to the top and you start to, it gets in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of teams trying to come after you.
Mm-hmm.
Do the Nuggets have that same syndrome right now?
I think they got that syndrome of getting back and winning another championship now. Because again, like we just talked about, they won the championship, boom, they get ousted, right?
Yeah.
And again, you had that fat cat syndrome sometimes. And I think that might have been the best thing for them was to lose last year, because now this year coming back, they're going to be hungry. And you still got two of the best players at their position. When you talk about Murray and Joker, those two guys are dynamic at their position. And then you talk about Aaron Gordon and the other guys that they have that play their roles to a T. They're going to be a tough team to deal with. So even though we hadn't talked a whole lot about Denver, and I'm sure that's kind of how they want it.
Yeah.
They want to be like, all right, we're going to be, nobody talk about us. We're going to be under the radar this year. So let us just go out here, sneak up behind everybody and whoop their butt. And then hopefully when the playoffs start, they're in that 1 or 2 seed in the Western Conference, because that Denver crowd, that fan base there is crazy.
Yeah.
So if they get home court advantage, you might be in trouble in the West.
For some reason, it always seems like the Nuggets have the Lakers number. What gives? They play way to the A+ par when they play the Lakers.
Yeah, because it's the Lakers. And they're not the only ones. They just seem to have the Lakers number, but every team gets up for the Lakers.
Yeah.
Every team. That purple and gold still means a lot. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to win a championship. And with that purple and gold, and you got LeBron and AD over there, every team gets up for the Lakers. Denver probably more so than anybody else. And like you said, they feel they got matchup, problems that the Lakers can't handle.
Yeah.
And AD last year against Denver played his ass off, and Joker played his ass off, and it's always going to come down when you got those two teams together. It always comes down to this matchup to me, as far as I'm concerned, Murray and D'Angelo Russell. That's the matchup. And they've made it a point, and they've made it known that every time D'Angelo Russell's in the game, they're going at him. So that's been the difference. D'Lo has to pick it up on that defensive end and take that challenge against Murray. And you don't have to stop him, but you got to make it hard for him. You know what I'm saying? You ain't going to stop him because he got the ball in his hand so much. But you got to make it hard on him. And I think that's the one reason that Denver's been able to have the Lakers number so far in the last 2 or 3 years.
Got it. So a player that you're a big fan of, Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah.
Second season, Wemby.
Yeah.
What do you expect out of him?
Well, first of all, he'll be an all-star.
Oh, he should be.
It's no doubt about that. He'll be an all-star this year.
Did you see the size he got over the summer, by the way?
He gained, 15, 20 pounds?
I don't know the exact number, but he looked
He looks good.
He's looking a little bit more beefier.
Yeah, he looks good. I'm like, man, them arms don't look like pencils no more. You know what I'm saying? Legs don't look like pencils no more.
Scary thought.
And he's gotten bigger, and if he, obviously at that size, if he still has that mobility and that athleticism, you're right. That's scary because he got so many skills. And then you add a Chris Paul to that team for leadership and experience. San Antonio, don't be surprised if they're in the playoffs this year.
You see them as a play-in, or you see them in the top 6?
I say from 7 to 10.
Okay, play-in.
Yeah. So don't be surprised because again,
that's a big jump.
It's a big jump
for that team.
That's a big jump. But again, you add one of the best. Yeah, you have one of the best point guards of all time when you talk about Chris Paul.
Chris Paul.
Who's motivated. We know how he is.
Yes.
He's motivated. And then you got one of the best coaches of all time in Greg Popovich. So, I'm sure Greg, Pop is putting it in their heads that, hey, guys, we can definitely be a playoff team this year. That's their goal. And I'm sure they're looking at it. And I'm sure Chris is saying the same thing, to him as well. So, He's going to jump on Wemby's back now that he's got some more weight on it. He can carry him. He's going to ride this horse and see if they can get to the playoffs and cause some damage.
You just mentioned Chris Paul. He's one of the best point guards to play this game ever. Jumping on Wemby's back, these remaining few years he got, what is that going to do for Wemby's game and that team?
Well, I'm going to put it to you this way, Kid Jay. I had him in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And I had him with a young kid named Tyson Chandler.
Yeah.
And he damn near made Tyson an all-star.
Tyson was balling.
And I thought Tyson should have been an all-star.
Yeah.
Because what he did and what he brought to the table for our team. The leadership he brought on the defensive end, he was our emotional leader. Chris was our leader, there's no doubt about that. But Chris also had everybody, and he held everybody accountable. I think he's going to do the same thing with Victor. He's going to make sure that this kid understands how good he can be. And he's going to feed him and talk to him. And I guarantee you, the first week of the season, we'll see a whole lot of clips of him talking to him on the bench, on the court, and just telling him things that he needs to hear.
Yeah.
And that type of experience from a point guard like Chris Paul, who's been there for so long, who's done what he's done in the NBA, is invaluable. So Wemby is going to really learn a lot this year on the court, being on the court with Chris. And he's going to appreciate it. Now, the one thing about CP, he's going to be hard on him. He's going to demand a lot from him, and the first week or two, Wemby might not like that. What I mean?
I was getting ready to say, with Wemby being so young, I don't even, what is he, 21?
Yeah.
How is he going to accept that type of leadership from Chris Paul, especially somebody getting after him?
Yeah, I think he will because he's so young.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I think if he was 25, 26, been in the league 7, 8 years, it'd be a different story. But because he's so young and because he hasn't had the success in the NBA that he wants, not from a team standpoint, not from an individual standpoint, that this is something that he's going to cherish and relish the fact that he has one of the best that ever played the game in his ear, damn near every time down the floor, and he's going to make him better. And again, along with Pop and what they do in San Antonio, we already know San Antonio is one of the most fundamental organizations in basketball. They don't get a lot of credit for how great they are as a franchise.
Yeah.
But you have the figurehead in Pop there, who's been there for so many years, who won championship with Tim Duncan and David Robinson and Ginobili and Tony Parker and all those guys. He has all that type of experience to lean on. And then you bring in a guy like Chris Paul, who's been in the league for almost 20 years and has done what he's done as an all-star, as a player. You can't help but get better if you're willing to listen and learn. So I think having Chris this year for Wemby is going to be unbelievable for him, and I think it's going to take Wemby to a different level. Let
me ask this question. Last I checked, State Farm Insurance is in every city in the United States of America.
Yeah, I got State Farm for my house because of Chris Paul.
Hey, Chris, I have State Farm too, by the way. He could have chose any team.
Yeah.
He could have gone with Anthony Edwards in Minnesota. He could have gone to any team he wanted. Why do you think he chose Minnesota?
I think because of the youth.
San Antonio.
I think because of the youth and because of Wemby.
Yeah.
He sees a guy like we talked about, 2 or 3 years from now, that kid's going to be probably the best player in the NBA. And I think Chris sees that.
Yeah.
And he wants to be a part of that. He wants to be a part of that development. So I think he chose San Antonio because of the fact that he saw all the young guys that they have. He wanted to play for one of the best coaches as well, in Greg Popovich. But he also sees this as an opportunity to really take an organization that was 13th, 14th in the West to possibly 5, 6, 7 in the West this year, which is, like you said, that's a huge jump. Chris Paul will help them win 20 more games than they won last year.
That's big. All right. So going back to the East, who made the right trades, Knicks or the 76ers, to get to the NBA Final?
I think they both did, but I like New York's trade a little bit better.
Okay,
I really do, because again, Cat is a stretch four who can do some things on both ends of the floor. He makes them longer. I wouldn't say he makes them more athletic because Julius is very athletic. You know what I'm saying? But it's hard to go from 6'9" to 7'1". That's a big difference. In length. So he's going to help them on the defensive end, and he's going to create more space for Jalen to be able to do his thing. You know what I'm saying? So I like what New York did this offseason. Not saying I don't like what Philly did with Paul George, because I think that was a hell of a move too, getting Paul to go to Philly, because it helps be big time. Because you got another guy that can just take over a game.
Yeah.
But I think the dynamic of Cat and Jalen Bronson and the rest of those guys and the way they play defense, the way they get after you, I like what New York did a little bit better.
I mean, they were right there on the cusp last year.
Right there. And again, Jalen gets hurt.
Yeah.
Julius wasn't there at all. And they held their head high and they played their ass off. You got to give them a lot of credit. So I think Cat coming in there is going to really give them a boost of energy.
Yeah. Early MVP predictions: Luka Doncic, SGA, Anthony Edwards, Embiid, Joker. Who you got? Who are you thinking?
I'm thinking SGA.
Yeah,
I really am. I'm thinking SGA, man. I mean, again, just watching this kid play, I love his demeanor out there on the basketball court. I think if he can get OKC again to that 1 or 2 spot and have the type of year he had last year, I think he has a real good shot of being the MVP this year.
He has a lot of great players around him.
Yeah.
And great role players,
right.
which you know as well as I do, that's what gets you to the next level is
right.
make sure you have those great role players.
Right.
He is my early MVP candidate as well.
Okay.
I think Joker takes a step back.
Okay.
Luka, as amazing as Luka is, I don't know if he gets MVP. I think all the things you said about SGA puts him slightly ahead of Luka.
Yeah. I think it's going to be like a 3-man race this year with SGA, Joker. Joker's going to always be in the conversation. Because what he does on that basketball court every single night, he's going to always be in the conversation. And I think Joel Embiid, I think he's going to be in that conversation again this year. So those are my top 3 right now. And
where do you have Anthony Edwards and Luka?
Luka I have outside the top 5.
Okay.
I would have Anthony Edwards in there, and I would have Giannis. Giannis, the top 5 players right now as far as votes for MVP.
Cool. You guys heard it, Byron Scott.
That's my picks.
Can we talk about the WNBA real quick?
Absolutely.
It went down to the wire. They went the full 5 games.
Yep.
The deciding series, the New York Liberty beat Minnesota Lynx. Mm-hmm. Controversy? Can we say phantom foul? Can we talk about that?
We can say all that.
Because I know the coach was pissed.
Oh, she was hot.
Even LeBron James went on and said that was not a foul.
She was hot. And you know what? She had every right to be, because there were so many other fouls that you could have called in that game.
Yeah.
And you called that one at that particular time in the game? To decide, which really decided the game.
Yes, it did.
And before that foul, phantom foul.
The Lynx were up by 2.
Yeah.
With 6 seconds to go.
Right. But before that foul, when Breanna Stewart even had the ball, she kind of fumbled. That could have been a travel, number one. And then to call that play a foul when her hands are straight up, never came down, never went back. She was just straight up. You can definitely understand why Coach was upset in her press conference that they got robbed. But also, it was just it was a great basketball game. The game wasn't played great. We had some players that didn't play up to their cap. Sabrina, who was an unbelievable basketball player. One for 19.
1 for 19.
Sabrina, there probably been a time in the game you should have started taking it to the basket. But that's neither here nor there. But the way the game ended, obviously, was controversy, like you said. But to end the season the way they ended, Liberty on a high note, winning the championship in the WNBA, and this whole year for the WNBA was a big win, a huge win. And you got to give them a lot of credit that the WNBA is going to be it's going like this. This is their trajectory of really just going up. And as we've talked about early in our podcast. And they only got some more great players that's going to be coming in this league in the next couple of years. So
Paige Buckets.
Paige Buckets. Oh, man.
Juju.
Oh, man. So it's going to be fun to watch. And I tell you what, though, the team that I would be worried about for next year would be the Aces.
Really?
Yes. Because I think
they won it the year prior.
Exactly. I think they're going to have a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
You got the best player in the game in Asia Wilson. And you got one of the best coaches in Becky Hammond.
Yep.
So that team, I think, will come back this year with a vengeance. It's going to be hard, but you got a lot of teams in the WNBA that's going to be so much improved, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch.
The WNBA definitely got what they wanted this playoff series. I mean, that game went to 5 games.
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, 3 of them were overtime, at least 2, but I think 3 of them were overtime.
I think
one of them
right.
was a double overtime.
I think you're right. Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So that's the best that you can get.
Absolutely.
Why aren't they playing 7 games?
That's a good question. I mean, I think they should inherit what the NBA does. You know, that first round is maybe the best 3 out of 5 instead of 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
You know, and then from that point on, they should be best 4 out of 7. You know, I really believe that the fans would love that. It would bring more money to the WNBA. Now, other than that, I don't see any negatives, you know, with going 7 games. If you don't do every series up to the finals, at least do the finals, best of 7, because I think this year, we all could have said, man, it'd be fun to see 2 more games, the way these 2 teams are playing each other.
And I think the Lynx deserved another
shot. Yeah, I think the Lynx would sit here right now with us and be like, yeah, we wish it would go 7.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think they feel that they could have won in 7. Not they could have won in 5, really, but they definitely had a real good chance of winning in 7.
So do you think the Lynx have a bigger chip on their shoulders than the Aces?
Yeah. Yeah. Kid J, when you lose in the finals like that,
yeah.
It's like going back to the 80s when we lose to the Celtics, in 7 games after they clothesline Kirk Rambis.
Yeah.
And we end up losing that one. That summer, I remember this like it was yesterday. That summer, after losing that game, 2 weeks later, I was back at UCLA on the track. I was in the weight room. All I was thinking about was getting back to the finals against hopefully them again. And the first day that I went to the track, there was Buck, there was Coop, there was AC, and I was like, oh shit.
Everybody's serious.
Everybody was pissed and ready to go back. So I would think right now, the Lynx and their players and that organization, coaches ain't got to say nothing. Those girls are going to be ready to go when training camp starts, and they're going to have a chip on their shoulder, hopefully waiting to get back to the WNBA finals. So
let's talk about your prediction that you made earlier this year.
Which one was that?
Dodgers, Yankees.
What'd I tell y'all?
Dodgers,
Yankees. Like you said.
World Series.
Yes.
We haven't seen it in many, many years.
I think it's like 1981.
I believe is the year, I think.
Yeah,
1981.
Like 1981.
Is it a rivalry, though? Since they haven't played in the World Series since 1981, is it a rivalry?
I don't think it's a rivalry, but I do think that both of these organizations look at each other as a standard. And they both know how important this series is. They both know that this is history because you got the 2 best organizations in all of baseball, New York and LA. That's a rivalry right there. When you just talk about New York, LA, West Coast against the East Coast. It's going to be, I think it's going to be epic. And
then you talk about the players on each team. There's star players on each team. I mean, I've already seen Judge Soto versus Ohtani Betts.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. There's 11 people out there. How is it just them?
Yeah, but you got some household names that have done some things in this league that haven't been done.
I don't think the 4 names I just mentioned, I don't believe none of those win MVP. I think it's going to be a role player that gets MVP.
See, I disagree.
You think one of them?
I think one of those guys
is superstars.
Yeah, because I think they've been waiting for this, and I think they're going to come. Just like most great players, the cream rises to the top. One of those 4 guys, I think, will get MVP this year.
There's a couple Hernandezes on the Dodgers team that are just playing out of their mind.
Freddie
right
Freeman.
now.
They got some. Dodgers got. They stacked. There's no doubt about it. But so is New York.
They're stacked in the bullpen.
They're stacked in the bullpen. Yeah, exactly. So this is going to be a great series, and luckily for me, I get to go to Game 1.
Yeah,
check it out. Sit there and enjoy it.
Which games are you going to?
I think I'm just going to Game 1. Not unless I call my man Lon Rose and say, "Look, Lon, I'll pay for tickets for Game 7." I might have to say, "Look, man, how much you want for Game 7? Just give me two tickets. Me and the wife. But yeah, I you know, like we said, we talked about this. I said, man, my dream series is Dodgers Yankees, and it has come to fruition, and now I can't wait.
So your prediction?
Dodgers in 7.
Dodgers is 7, all the way to 7.
All the way to 7. Dodgers in 7.
Hey, Lon, if you're watching this, I was the ball boy for the Lakers. Remember me, the young kid?
Back in the day.
Yeah, and I took care of your tickets.
Hook a brother up, right?
Take care of a brother now.
Hook a brother up.
20 years later.
Lon was quick to tell me. I was like, Lon, I need 4 tickets. He said, B, tickets are real scarce. I can only do 2. I said, Lon, I'll take 2. I don't care. I'm good. I'll take 1 and tell my wife, baby, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He only got 1. I'm going, you know, but he said, I got 2 for you, B. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good.
Before we end, I want to talk about the Hall of Fame ceremony that you went to a week ago.
Yes, sir.
For our good partner, brother, Michael Cooper.
Yes.
I want to talk about the party afterwards.
Man,
because,
we were partying up a storm,
I felt like I wanted to be there after seeing what I saw, but I felt like I was there because your wife live streamed it.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And she told me she was gonna do it. She was like, "Baby, I'm gonna live stream this."
And I watched the stream,
and I was like, "Really?" She was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna live stream." So she was like, "All right, we live." I was like, "Okay," and everybody just act like we normally act, you know, which is how we do when the Lake Show get together. And what I loved about it, Kid Jay, is the fact that all the fellas that came out for Coop and support, you know, Buck, James, AC, Rambo, Mitch Kupchak, Silkman, McAdoo,
Norm Nixon,
Norm, Spencer.
Yeah.
I gotta keep thinking who else? Who am I missing? I'm missing somebody. I know I'm missing probably a couple of guys, but for all those guys to come and show their support for Coop, man, it was Pat Riley.
Yeah.
You know, Lisa Leslie, who played for Coop with WNBA with the Sparks when they won 2 championships. It was just unbelievable.
Rambus.
Yeah. Rambo. It was unbelievable to see all the guys that came in support of Coop. And you could tell on Saturday night when we were hooping and hollering, you know, when he was up there getting his jacket and his ring, this is before the next night where he went up and did his speech, and we were just screaming and yelling. And I said, Coop, I hope we didn't embarrass you. He's like, man, B, I love that. But guys that were coming up to us was like, man, y'all roll like this? I said, y'all, this is the Lake Show. This is how we roll. This is how we support our brothers. And I think there was a lot of people there that was envy of the fact that we were there in bunches.
Yeah.
You know, and not only us, but the wives and man, it was unbelievable, man. It was such a good time to see everybody and just hang out for those 3 days. And again, a man that deserved this, Michael Cooper, years ago, you know, finally got the recognition that he deserved and finally got put in and went in with a great group. You know, Chauncey Billups, Mr. Big Shot, who I love, you know, Mr. Insanity, Vince Carter, you know, half man, half amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the guys that he went in with, Doug Collins, who I played for when I was at Arizona State, who was one of my assistant coaches, and really got me ready my junior year to go in the NBA and taught me what it was to be a professional, you know, to come in to work every single day. That was Doug Collins who did that for me. So to go in with the group of guys that he went in with, man, I thought was fantastic. So we had a great time.
Was that your first time ever going to the Hall of Fame?
My second. I went in when Rouse got
when Rouse went in
as well. Yeah.
So this one though, a player that you played with for many, many years, how did that make you feel like, okay, I'm next? I need to be up there.
You know what? I didn't think about that, but, you know, like Rouse came up to me, you know, when I first saw him, gave me a big hug and said, you next. Spencer Haywood, you next. You know, Bob McAdoo, you next. I mean, all these guys, Coop, you next. I mean, all these guys that were coming to me saying that. And I was kind of like, man, I appreciate it, but this is Coop's time.
Yes.
You know, I'm here for my boy who deserves this and should have been in 10 years ago. But he's in now, so we're gonna party and we're gonna celebrate.
And you guys did.
Oh boy,
my
did
goodness.
we party? Man, we had a good time. I had to drink a whole lot of water, dog, because I was because that Saturday, Sunday night, I was getting lit. I was like, this is my boy. He's in, and we had a moment on Sunday night where he was sitting down on the couch and we were all dancing and everything. And Yvonne was like, you know, I was like, where's Coop? She was like, he over there. And she said, go talk to him. So I went down and sit down. I said, Coop, how you feel? Now that this is over and you in, how you feel? He said, B, I feel good, man. He said, but I'm exhausted. I said, you know what? I'm exhausted for you. I said, but man, I'm so happy for you and so proud of you, bro. I said, man, I'm just, he was like, thanks for coming. I was like, man, no, thanks for asking me. Thanks for asking me to come, and be a part of this, bro. I mean, you don't understand how amazing this was and how blessed I am that you even asked me to be a part of this. And Gary Vitti, you don't want to forget my boy Gary Vitti, who was there, our trainer. But it was like a reunion. It was almost like, the Showtime reunion we did in Hawaii. It was almost like that, Yeah. And then I saw Kareem the other day who said, man, I'm sorry I couldn't be there. He couldn't travel for health reasons and things of that nature. But just to have all the fellas there and celebrate, man. And like you said, we partied, dog. Yeah. We had a good time.
Well, thank you to your wife for
thank you.
Letting us all in and partying with y'all.
It, baby. Yeah, thank you for streaming it, baby.
She's the real MVP.
She's the real MVP, no doubt about it. Cecilia Gutierrez Scott, better known as CC.
We'll get out of here on this.
Yes, sir.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah. I ain't forgot. You still owe me $10.
I do owe you $10.
But we're going to let that ride because we have a bet at the end of the season who had the best record. And, so, you guys are still right there.
We are there.
You're still right there.
Let's talk about your Steelers for a hot second.
Okay.
So I read this morning that they played Russ so they could trade him.
Well, after that game, I was kind of like, and Mike Tomlin, kudos to Mike, good friend of mine, great coach.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. Every Steeler game that I go to, me and him get a chance to talk. And I mean, he's just one of the best people I've ever met, man. And when he was making that change to put, Russ in, I was kind of like, Mike, I don't know if you want to do that, and Russ comes out, they score 35 points against the Jets.
Yeah.
And the Jets defense ain't that shabby.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, so hopefully, I'm hoping that's not what they did is to play him to trade him because, man, he made our offense look so much better. And no disrespect to Justin Fields, who I thought did an unbelievable job. But Russ, man, it looked like he had the fountain of youth.
I mean, the first half was a little rusty. Or first quarter.
First quarter.
First quarter was a little rusty, but I don't know what happened, but he turned into what he was doing when he was young.
Seattle days.
Yes.
I mean, that's what he looked like.
He looked amazing.
He looked
264 yards.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns, I believe, including 1 rushing.
Yes.
And I mean, he looked
fantastic.
Amazing. And the Steelers are 5-2.
5-2. Tied for first place in that division with the Baltimore Ravens. So I'm feeling real good about my Steelers. And luckily I didn't. I was gonna wear my Steelers shirt today, but I said no. I don't want to rub it in on Kid J today.
Come on, we 4-3. The Broncos are 4-3, and we are playing very well.
You are. I mean,
getting better and better week after week.
A lot better than I expected this early in the season. I expected later on that Bo Nix would start to play like we know Bo Nix can, because I saw him at Oregon. I was like, this kid's a beast. But I didn't expect the kid after, 7 games to be playing the way he's playing. I expected like 8 to 17 that he would start finding his footage, right? That kid's a true number 1 quarterback in this league. So Denver's future is looking good.
Yeah.
4-3 at this time. My Steelers 5-2. Y'all a little bit too close for comfort right now. And we ain't played Baltimore yet.
We play Baltimore. We have Carolina this week, and then we have Baltimore. So we should be 5-3, and then we see Baltimore.
Yeah. So but we ain't. But again, we ain't played them yet. We haven't played a division opponent yet. We haven't played Cincinnati. I was hoping we played Cleveland.
So
I want to play Cleveland.
They back-ended the Steelers with all the division there.
Yeah. So we don't play Baltimore for I think another 2 or 3 weeks. So we got to keep this train rolling because Baltimore right now is rolling.
So where do you see the Steelers ending up at the end of this season? Obviously, they look like they're going to be a playoff team.
They'll be a playoff team. I think really the Steelers have a chance of being 11-6, 12-5, somewhere in there. Again, our problem is Baltimore. I think right now Baltimore is the best team in football. I think Lamar Jackson is playing
best player in football?
Yeah, he right now I think Lamar Jackson's MVP, without a doubt. I think he's the MVP. I don't even think it's close. And I think right behind him is Derrick Henry. I mean, he has brought a different a different dimension to their team. And now it's just hard to game plan for those dudes, man. I mean, they are just dynamic on the offensive end, and then their defense has never been a problem. They've always been a very good defensive team.
The games they lost, they didn't give him the ball.
Right.
As soon as they started giving him the ball.
That was the first 2 games of the season.
Yeah.
And now the one against Kansas City, you know,
and the Raiders.
The toe, where the toe is on the line. I mean, they could have
almost won that game.
Yeah, they could have won that game. If the toe is, if he's that much back more, they win that game.
Yeah.
And then they go and lose to the Raiders, you know. But since then, they're like, look, we got to give him the ball. In last game against Tampa Bay, he only had 5 carries at halftime. And he ended up with like 19 and 150. I mean, you know, if you get that guy the ball 20 plus times in a game, he's going to break one. I mean, he's that good. He's going to break one.
He's that big.
And he's that big. And he's that fast.
He's a linebacker.
Yeah,
he's running back.
He's 250.
Yeah.
And the dude is, you know, running 4 threes and 4. I mean, the dude is unbelievable. So I think if you look at Baltimore right now and the way they're playing, best team in football. But I love what my Steelers are doing, especially on the defensive end. You know, Jets had them 15-6, didn't score another point. So
is Aaron Rodgers done?
Oh, I think you know, I don't see
because getting Adams didn't help.
That ain't helped at all.
No,
you know. But I go back to, you know, we can go back to what B said earlier. You don't play all preseason.
Yeah.
You know, so that first 5-6 games, you just now getting your feet wet. Yeah. You know, and by that time now their season's almost over.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, Aaron might be done. You know, he might be done, but I ain't focusing on Aaron and the Jets. I'm focusing on them Steelers. Steeler Nation in the house, baby. Keep doing what y'all doing.
Oh, my God. We're going to end the show on that note. Byron, just go ahead and get us out of here with the Steeler Nation and Dodgers. Go ahead.
Steeler Nation in the house. The L.A. Dodgers against the New York Yankees. What is going to be an unbelievable World Series. Again, I got the Dodgers in 7. And this is another episode of Fast Break with your boy Byron Scott and my host, Kid J. We out.
Love you.
Thank you for watching Byron Scott's Fast Break. If you like what you saw, here's some more videos. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.